Alrighty then, want to say welcome back to it. This is Everyday Lessons Now. I am none other than Terran Jagger Calendar, and with me, my co-host Dr. Amala Luncheon, who we are here each and every week to bring nice vibes, good vibes and energy.
Indeed.
See, I'm all read up today. I'm trying to dress young and hip because it's everyday lessons for everybody. You understand? So I'm trying to touch all different diasporas. You dig what I'm saying? So for those of you who might be over a certain age cap, I'm there with you. And for those of you under a certain age cap,
you have to run the
yeah, I'm there with you as well. You're right. So we're here for everyone. So everybody's included.
Yes.
As last week when I told you all it's about inclusion, I meant it. So we're here. So what's going on? How was your week?
Indeed. It was good. I mean, and being on the East Coast, it was cold, but whatever. That's what we're used to right now.
Nice.
So,
So we are here, guys. So today, what we touching on today?
Today, I want to talk a little bit about self-management and give you some ideas. So let's discuss things that you could do to improve your self-management. So self-management is actually one of the pillars of emotional intelligence, as you know. And that really is the ability to control impulsive feelings and behaviors. So if something happens, you don't react, far left of what your response should have been. Especially if it's in a social setting or, whatever. But as long as you're able to manage yourself, meaning being able to control anything that happens that is impulsive. So something happens on the fly, how do you react to that? So what we're going to talk about today is 5 ways that you actually can learn, or 5 skills that you can learn so that you can help to improve your own self-management.
Right.
So the first one, and then, as we do, we give examples and so on as we go. So the first one is role clarity. So role clarity, if we had to say it in today's parlance, so we're talking about being able to reach everybody, we would say understanding the assignment. Mm-hmm. So if you want to know what role clarity is, then role clarity really has to do with understanding what the responsibilities are. And that is looking at it specifically in a job setting. Now, after you've understood what is required of me in this role, and you've learned that, and I like to talk about at home, at work, at play, then how are you able to translate what you've learned in the workplace in terms of having that role? How do you now take that home, that experience home, and understand what your role is within your family structure, what it is within your friend group, what it is in church, what it is, on the netball team, on the basketball team, whatever. So what is the role that you are expected to play? Understand what it is, because then you're able to set boundaries. And boundary setting is incredibly important if you're looking at 1, being self-aware, and 2, being able to relate to people around you. People have to know how far they can push you, how far you would go before you snap. So understanding that gives you, some sort of technique to deal with self-management. So if we had to look for an example, perhaps I can say, in defining a role, let's say you have a role at work where you work on a team, and because your skill is PowerPoint presentations, you could volunteer to do PowerPoint presentations. So instead of waiting for someone to give you something to do in Excel, and that you don't like Excel, you can say, listen, if we need to do PowerPoint presentations, I would like to be the one to do it because I am a boss at this. Mm-hmm. So that is one way to do it. You can volunteer to get whatever that role is. If at home that you might be able to cook better than your significant other, then maybe you should volunteer for that. And you don't have to do it in a way that it's offensive, but you can just say, I think I may want to take over the cooking duties without it being harmful. And there may be, I'm sure there's a way to say it without seeming offensive, know. So as long as we can identify what that role is, then you clarify what it is. And so it gives you the opportunity to be in control of it and less room for sudden things to happen for you to be knocked off kilter, So The next one is goal alignment. And goal alignment, when we think of goal alignment, generally we think of it in terms of organizations. And does this organization, so for instance, if you're in the interviewing process, you want to make sure that you ask questions. Most times, the hiring manager, recruiter, whomever asks you, do you have any questions? Always try to have questions, because you are interviewing this organization as well. Is this place going to be good for my work-life balance? Is this place going to be good for my sanity? Is this, what if the place that you're going to work is, let's say some place that is constantly innovating, and you know very well that you don't like change. So you're not in a situation where, oh, well, tomorrow you might come and you may have a standing desk.
Yeah. And that's a trick.
Like, who decided on this? So you need to ask questions so that you understand if their goals, if the organization's goals align with yours. Similarly, in your personal life, with your friendships, with your family, whatever relationships that you have, whatever groups you're a part of, you want to understand that we're all on the same page, or at least if I'm behind, I can catch up, or, whatever it is, but you want to make sure that your goals are aligned. Goal alignment is a big thing. That's why we do goal setting at the end of the year, at the beginning of the year. We do reviews at the end of the year. That's why we do vision lists, so we understand that because you keep growing, you want to be able to achieve something. And that looks different for a lot of different people. So, you have an example that you want to use for goal alignment?
No, you're correct. You made it in terms on a personal level. Questions is always important, because, like, for instance, the simplest of things you can take for granted. Like, you have to ask people. It happened yesterday. I was going to do an interview, and it happened where it was a sit down and have like finger food. And everybody had to be apologizing for the whole of yesterday, because, oh my God, no, we didn't know you don't eat meat. Oh, we didn't know you didn't eat meat. And that could have been avoided if you simply said, okay, it's going to have finger food at the event. Right. It's going to be a situation where we sit and we chat over finger food. The space is going to be serving alcohol. We're going to have burgers. What is your take on that? And I would have said in that moment, well, I don't drink one, I don't eat meat two. So you would have known from jump, you would not lay out your whole spread and then go live on television to then say, oh my God, sorry, we didn't know. Oh my God, oops, sorry, it looks bad. Which it could have been avoided if you ask the question. So that's a perfect example of how important it is to ask questions. And as you said, even in a job interview, you go to work somewhere and you ask simple things like, okay, do you all require people to come out on a Sunday? On the weekend, because you might be coming from an environment where you only used to work Monday to Friday. But this particular company, they love Saturday mornings. So now you take the job without asking the question, and then Saturday morning they're calling down your phone. Excuse me, Mr. John, where are you? I'm home. Right. You can't be home, Mr. John. The whole team here is waiting on you. But I don't know you always work on a Saturday. Yes, we do. How could you not know that? That's because he didn't ask a question. And he just took the job. Right. So little things like that.
Or didn't do the necessary research.
Exactly. So it's very important.
Which brings me to the next point, which is strategic planning. So strategic planning really has to do with understanding what is needed in order to support the organization's goals. So if you know that this organization wants to grow by, let's say, 15% over the next how many years, well, exactly how are they going to do that? What is my role in this? How am I going to be effective? What am I expected to do? And you understand what that is, and then you make a plan. So while the plan may be for work, and you understand what are the things that you need to do, let's say Monday to Saturday, how can you translate that strategic planning function that you have now learned and take that into your friendships and everything else that you have to deal with, because we're social beings and you are not living on an island and you're the only person there.
Correct.
So how do you now translate that strategic planning skill that you have learned and take it into being the best friend that you could be, being the best partner, brother, sister, whatever that you have to be? Because just being able to plan something out, like, okay, so my brother's birthday is coming up whenever. Maybe I can ask for the day off. Maybe I can assist in getting the cake. Maybe I can, whatever. And you go through and make sure that whatever you are offering aligns with the goals of whatever it is that should be happening.
Right.
And there's several examples where generally in our life we plan, but then things always get left out. And sometimes it's because we didn't bother to write it down or we weren't detailed enough. And so we leave out little details. And then we like to tell people that one of our soft skills is paying attention to detail.
You didn't.
Crickets.
Yeah,
exactly.
You didn't.
So there's an opportunity with strategic planning to really go through with like a fine-tooth comb, and make sure that there are things, and you can look at it over and over because that's what strategic planning is. And you may need to revise some things because you might think you have everything down. And then something happens. Like, for instance, I have a great example. When I was going to do my research, when I was collecting research on my dissertation, I thought I was going to fly to the Caribbean and go to these countries and talk to people about employee engagement and emotional intelligence. And then it was end of February in 2020. And the IRB was not given permission to go and do a sit down with anybody. Because it would seem irresponsible on their part. We were just in the beginning of this pandemic and whatever. And so I had to change and I had to use Zoom. And so for me now, it was a completely different mode of data collection, which required a different set of rules and so on. So I had to make some changes. But because I was planning, I wasn't surprised by submitting the paperwork. And then they're like, oh no, by the way, revise this, which could have taken another 3 months. So, sometimes planning ahead actually helps. And you have to be open to making changes and understanding that, you can't just blow up in the moment like, no, but I wanted to go. And that doesn't help anybody. You have to be able to manage yourself and manage those emotions. And strategic planning could help with something like that.
Of course. And that's what you have to do. You have to understand how, and again, it goes back to knowing what you want and knowing, as you say, when you're planning it out, you have to kind of write it out first too. And when you're writing it out, it's always help. Because when you put it on paper, you can kind of see it and figure out, well, okay, this is the thing, and you put it in steps. Okay, this is what needs to happen over this period of time. And that's how you get to the finish line.
And now that I'm saying that, I'm thinking maybe this may be a good opportunity to have a contingency plan while you're doing strategic planning. So like, if this does not happen, then what next? Or what is the next best alternative? Because I didn't think of next best alternative until we got it. Well, of course, I didn't know that there would be a worldwide lockdown. However, there was a next best alternative that I could have turned to. But, now that we are in this space of having to do things hybrid and remotely and so on, it may be a good time to start thinking of what contingency plans could be. And we start looking at, and that may be something that could have helped in let me say, your situation in Trinidad with the carnival that is not happening.
Yeah.
If last year, or in the year before, because now we're like pros at this.
They should have known. Let's not go there today. They should have known, because as you said, contingency should have been set in place. Well, okay, if the numbers rise, this is the format. If the numbers go down, this is the format.
Yes.
If the numbers stay at one course, this is going to be the format. So you have 3 different formats, and you would have presented the 3 different formats, so everybody would have prepared themselves for the 3 different formats. So now, if it's format 1, we know what we're doing. If it's format 2, we know what we're doing. Format 3. You had no format, and you just come and just drop on everybody, okay, this is the plan, which doesn't work for everybody because nobody knew. Was not good consultation, wasn't done. The planning was not done. Let's just call a spade a spade.
Exactly.
There was no planning.
Yes.
It was very retroactive. It was not proactive at all. And they're trying to just cover it up and make it look as though, we're doing something, but you're actually not, because what you're doing is just trying to pull wool over. Let's not go down there. That's not what the show is about, but that is a good example of not planning.
Yes. The next one is priority setting. So, of course, if you have a list of things, and, we like to advocate for lists on this show. So if you have a list of things, then it's not just an arbitrary list, but what you should do is put things in order of priority. So it may be a case of doing the most difficult thing first. It may be a case of doing the thing that is simplest first, but whatever it is, you want to have a list of priorities, or you want to prioritize your list. So you may get up in the morning and do a to-do list and figure out, okay, these are the things that I need to get done. You may want to go down the list and do from 1 to 10 or 1 to 15 or how many ever you have, or you may write the list And then on the right hand side of the paper or in the margins, you can put little notes. And so you know which ones you tackle, what you tackle first. You may be able to group some things together. Think of it like supermarket shopping. So when you go to the supermarket, you're not going to go and get the thing in aisle 1. And then because your list, it was written poorly, you over in aisle 10, then you need to go back to aisle 3. If when you go to the supermarket, generally you go up and down, and you pick out the things that you need.
Correct.
But before you get there, you have a list and all right,
the major things you need on the list.
But you write the list most times based on layout so that you're not wasting time in the supermarket and then picking up things that were not on the list and doing impulse shopping.
Correct.
And coming out and saying, but how I was supposed to spend $200.
And then you went for one particular thing and they didn't even get it. And that's what you went for.
And sometimes you don't have a list. You're like, I'm just going to get some cabbage today. And you come back out with, why do I have 10 things? You didn't have a list. So priority setting avoids that kind of thing. Priority setting definitely avoids impulsive spending and impulsive emotions, because a lot of things happen that you didn't plan, or, you just end up in a place and like, but how did we get here? If you had a list of priorities, then that would not happen.
Correct.
Trust me on this one. Priority setting is important. And then the last one is self-awareness. And we love to talk about self-awareness because self-awareness, it just seems like so easy, but then a lot of people don't get it because a lot of people don't understand how they come across to others. You like to talk about not being able to read the room or being able to read the room in your case. So sometimes, you think that something is a simple thing and it sounds like a buzzword and whatever, but there are people who just don't get it. And so self-awareness really allows you to understand, one, who you are. And that's the first person that needs to understand. And that's why it begins with self. So if you're self-aware, then you can manage your emotions and you can get self-awareness is one of the skills that you can use to improve self-management. So self-awareness really is being able to consciously think of what are the things that are affecting me in this moment? How am I coming across to the person that I'm speaking with? How do I look in my workspace? What are some of the things that are important to me? What kind of friend am I? What kind of sister am I? How am I as a parent? As long as you understand the answers to those things make you self-aware. And so you don't walk into a situation blindly and get surprised and then you don't know how to manage your emotions.
And to do that too, it's always be open to feedback and ask. And that's where feedback comes in. You when you can, you ask, listen, so and so happened. How do you think that went? Or what do you think I should have done differently? If it's in the workplace and you had to do like an assessment of someone else, or you go to someone else in the next department, hey, I had this to do. You think it was handled properly? What are you hearing? What are people saying?
Right.
What should I have done differently? You do things like that. In the case where you in entertainment, let's say for instance you had a performance last night, you ask people, hey, how you think it was? What do you think I should have focused more on? How was people receptive to this particular song? Should I take it out the set? Should I leave it in the set? You have to remember too that you can't be so unaware and force yourself on people as well. You have to be able to, as I say, it's about reading the room, because sometimes some things are just there, is on Bristol board in front of your face, and we just, ego sometimes makes us not recognize what's right in front of us. You understand? And then when somebody puts you sit down and explain it to you, you want to get all, but I never know, nobody, when you knew, you just ignored it. You understand? So it's always good to ask for feedback.
Here we are, the highway.
Correct, is right. Always good to ask for feedback, and criticism is a good thing. You understand? It's just about how you accept it and how you take it. You understand?
And you can train yourself to accept criticism without internalizing it. So if you ask for feedback, that is one way of being able to take a criticism. Because somebody say, well, I don't know how to tell you this and I don't want you to get offended. Okay, so that puts you on guard, but you've asked for it. So, that's one way to do it. Practice.
For real. Practice. Yeah. And again, just like that, look how quick it happens.
Indeed.
In the wink of an eye. And next week, we're here and we're gone. Just like that. We're telling you, we're bidding our farewells and telling you thank you so much for being a part of it. You understand?
Yes, indeed.
So until next week again, we want to wish you a good week all. I hope you enjoy it and continue to send us your feedback. All the information is always there for you guys. So until next time we leave you dancing. Let's go. Yeah. We gone.